Right, let's begin now. I hope you have done this question as well. Give you a reminder as well. So you all can correct your answers. And then the next few questions I'll be giving you a time to do before we start. Let's begin. Roman number 4. So this is the continuation of the semester paper. Huh? What does CLI and GUI stand for? You might be familiar. CLI stands for, you can't see the screen. Wait, let me stop sharing it again, reshare it. Here you go. Okay. Yes. So what does CLI and GUI stand for? CLI stands for Command Line Interface, and right here, CLI stands for Command Line Interface, and GUI stands for Graphical User Interface. Okay. These two are terms that you will be coming across in your grade 10 fifth lesson regarding the, if you take your operating system, for you to be able to interact with the operating system, there are two types of interface. Like it's like how the operating system looks like, right? So one is a command line interface, which is mainly like a black and white screen where you might give commands to your computer, and what the computer will do is it will take those commands and it will give you an output, or it will give you a result. In graphical user interface, we don't just give commands. What we can do is we can have the pointers, we can have like mouse, windows, like currently you are using computers, laptops, they all come on a graphical user interface. So if you want to get something done, you can just click on some things. You can what you called give commands as well. But mostly you interact with the computer using like pointers, or like in phones, when it's like touch effect, right? So that's the main difference between them. Again, there are two types of interface, or else there are two ways you can interact with your device. Okay, so two types of operating systems based on their interface. Name two differences between CLI and GUI. Okay. Now, when you're talking about CLI and GUI, some of you have mentioned some basic differences, like for example, visual differences, rather than explaining it in a more precise manner. Okay. So in those cases, what happens is depending on who is marking your paper, sometimes they can your answers can be like some of you have mentioned. CLI contains black color, GUI contains colorful colors. Technically, those are correct answers, right? But those are not valid answers. Those are not like better answers. So always in these kind of questions, give better answers. For example, you can mention, let's say, when you compare the speed, tell me who is faster. Is CLI faster or is GUI fast? CLI is fast in terms of speed. When you give if you want to get a certain task, you can do that task is what do you call? You can use that task. You can do that task quickly in CLI than GUI. So comparatively, okay, it's not very slow, but comparatively, it's slow. Okay, and then out of both of them, which one is actually beginner friendly? Like for example, if I even give for a 3 years or 5-year-old fellow to use this computer, exactly the graphical user interface, this is beginner friendly, and you can mention not beginner friendly. Okay, which one do you think is more? What do you call the Himad cinema? Okay, what do you call comparatively? What do you think is more? Let's say I talked about the speed. I talked about the use. Okay, let's say about the flexibility. What do you think is more flexible? What I mean by flexible is, let's say if you want to do modifications, like for example, you want to change the interface, how it looks like, or you want to, let's say, move things here and there. You want to modify stuffs. In which one you can do all those stuffs? Yes, in graphical user interface, this is very flexible. You can change the wallpaper, you can change themes, all those stuffs. But here, it's not flexible. Okay, in CLI, it is not flexible. So these are like the three key factors, mention difference you have to mention. Apart from this, you can mention CLI is mostly black and white. GUI contains colors and graphics. Okay, you can mention GUI can contain multimedia, but CLI cannot contain multimedia. And you can talk about the memory as well. You can tell that CLI consumes less for the operating system. Okay, the CLI consumes less space compared to GUI. Okay, so you can mention less space, and here you can mention more space. Actually, in terms of space, why do you think graphical user interface requires? Now, let's say there's operating system created using graphical user interface, and there's operating system created using CLI. Why do you think the GUI operating system consumes more space than CLI? What is the reason? Valid point, Mohammed, but it's Mohammed Shah, but it's better to avoid. What about having coding knowledge in CLI? CLI, you don't have to have coding knowledge. You have command knowledge. That's why I said about beginner friendly. So if you had mentioned should have what do you call coding knowledge, sorry, if you have mentioned should have command knowledge, and if you have mentioned both, not beginner friendly, both, technically both of them are the same indirectly. So it depends on who's marking your paper, it can vary. Yes, the reason GUI consumes more space is because in GUI we can contain icons, we can contain multimedia, we can contain colors, all those stuffs. So compared to like a black and white, when you have these colors and images and icons, all those stuffs, the space consumption is going to be more. That's why GUI contains more space. Yes. Can we write like GUI input is given using keyboard and mouse, but in CLI input is using the keyboard? Um, Valid, but in GUI you can control the whole GUI with only keyboard as well. So and in but you call in CLI, mouse is not used, correct? Even though it's a correct answer, it's very precise. Better avoid those kind of answers. Okay. One more thing you can mention is regarding this one. For example, when you compare CLI and GUI, in which one can you multitask? They are present in fact. Yes, in GUI you can multitask. You can do multiple stuffs at once. Okay, but mostly in CLI you cannot multitask. Okay, you cannot multitask. So if you had mentioned these answers, it's more precise. But again, other answers are also fine. But these are the more precise answers. What about prompt coming only for CLI? You can give prompt in GUI as well, even though it's not a key component. That's why I said those are not suitable answers. Talking about the that CLI contains what do you call commands, prompts, command prompts, output. GUI contains Windows icons, menus, pointers. Those are not very precise answer when they're talking about differences between them. Because in a GUI also you can contain command, you can include commands. I mean, even though you all don't include it, in the GUI you can include commands, you can include pointers. So it's not better. SSD, but CLI doesn't have WIMP. CLI doesn't have WIMP, correct? That's not a distinguishable difference. Just because you have WIMP and it does not have WIMP, it's not going to be a big functional difference. We'll talk about functional difference. I mean, it's correct, but better avoid it. What is prompt? Command prompt is the input you're giving, the instruction you're giving for the CLI. So, for example, if I go for a CLI interface and go and write that date, it will give me the date time, right? So that command prompt is the date. That's the instruction I'm giving for the computer, and the computer is going to give me a result. Okay, so if you mention any of this, correct. Next, write down an example each for web browser, social media, search engine, and protocol. Okay, so you can give any examples. I'm going to mention here some famous examples. For example, let's say here Google Chrome, and for social media, let's say I'm going to mention here Facebook, and for search engine, I'm going to mention here, let's say Google, and for protocol, let me mention here, let's say ICMP, or else I can mention HTTP, FTP, anything we want is correct. Explorer, yes, Explorer is actually a web browser. A quick question for all of you. Is Google a web browser? For web browser, if I write the example just Google, is it a web browser? No, Google is actually a search engine, not a web browser. Okay, so when they ask about search engines and web browser, always mention Google for search engine only. There is Google web browser and search engine. No, Google has only search engine. Google doesn't have web browser. Even though you all see in your phones as application called Google, that is not a browser. For example, using that Google, try to access certain websites. There are certain limitations. Like, for example, you just try to go to Master IT. I'll give you an example. There's a website called code.masterit.lk. In this website, you can go and write HTML codes. Go to your search engine and you can write the codes there as well. Because I mean, in your this one, in that phones, you have Google application, just write HTML code there and go and click on. There's a button called download HTML. Go and click, nothing will happen. The reason is because the search engine has limitations. I mean, if you take that, which you're referring to, you have two applications. Is Opera search engine a browser? Opera is a browser. For search engine, you have Google, you have Yahoo, you have Bing, you have DuckDuckGo. Yeah. Okay. Firefox is a browser. Cool. For social media, you can mention Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, anything is correct. Okay. Better avoid mentioning YouTube, even though YouTube is indirectly a social media. Better avoid that because that's mostly coming under a video streaming platform. So unwantedly, don't mention those answers here. Like for example, when they ask you what type of application WhatsApp is, don't go and mention WhatsApp as video conferencing application. Yes, you can do video conferencing using WhatsApp, but that is not the main purpose of WhatsApp. No, the main purpose of WhatsApp is what? Exactly. The main purpose of WhatsApp is actually what you called the main purpose of WhatsApp is actually for messaging. So that comes on an instant messaging application. Now, if you take Instagram, you can chat in Instagram as well, but that's not the main purpose of Instagram. The main purpose of Instagram is as a social media. So always take the main purpose of the application, give them as an example. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all you can mention for social media. Then for protocol, you can mention ICMP, HTTP, IP, FTP, and then SMTP. You can mention these for the protocols, right? Okay. Anyone have any questions here? So if your answer is correct, just mark that correct. So if you take your marks, I forgot the marks, no? For what does CLI and GUI stand for? For telling what does CLI stand for, half marks. For mentioning what does GUI stand for, you get a half marks. And for the two differences, for each difference, you get half mark each. So let's say CLI is fast, GUI is slow. For that, half marks. And let's say CLI is not beginner friendly, GA for that, half marks. Let's say you mentioned something like this. You had mentioned CLI is fast, GUI is beginner friendly, CLI is not, and these two answers. Okay, you have mentioned CLI is fast, just CLI is fast, GUI is beginner friendly. If I just mention those 2 points, you will not be getting the full marks because you're not comparing. Okay, when you say about differences, you have to compare them. So if you're comparing, you can tell CLI is comparatively faster than GUI. GUI is comparatively more beginner friendly than CLI. Always compare your answers. Again, it depends on who is marking your paper. That's why I'm again saying all this stuff. But to be more precise, to make sure that whoever marks your paper are going to get the marks, be a bit to the point. So you compare and tell. Comparatively, CLI is fast. Comparatively, GUI is more beginner friendly. Got it? Last time you didn't even give half marks. It depends on my mood when marking the paper. Like if I feel like no, I have to cut marks as much as possible, then yes. But if I like palm, let's give marks, then it's different. I wrote as X and in if it is yes. Avoid that, Tisha. Okay. Next. So yeah, that's going to be half marks. And then for the example, you get half, one, half marks each. So for each example, here half marks, here half marks. It is fair because if you have a proper knowledge, you will be more precise. The people who doesn't have proper knowledge, they only actually write indirect answers. If you mark depending on your, actually if I mark properly, then you will, the correct method of marking is the first method where I don't give you mark. So that pavam path only, I'm saying what you call, we will give the marks for, okay, pavune kila we give marks. But the correct method of marking is you don't give marks if your answer is not precise. So if you're coming and arguing with the teacher like, what do you call, based on your mood you're marking, then they'll be like, okay, let me go for the default mode killer, and they'll cut your marks. Simple. That's how marking works. That's why I think always make sure precise. You know the answer and write the answer properly. Next, what should be the color depth of an image to represent 32 colors in a color representation system? Okay, when you're learning the grade 11, lesson number 4, you learned about something called as bit depth or as color depth. Okay, you can also call this color depth as a bit depth as well. Okay, so in what do you mean by bit depth? What do you mean by color depth is in an image. Okay, now if you take an image is formed by a collection of what? There's a collection of dot 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 particles. What do you call this? Each of those dots as? Exactly. Each of these dots we call as pixels. So what do you mean by this bit depth, or what do you mean by this color depth is basically in order to store a pixel, right? In order to store a pixel, how much of storage has to be allocated? In simple terms, how much of storage has to be allocated to store a pixel in your computer? That's the meaning of bit depth, right? So based on this bit depth, there's something which get decided, right? For example, imagine you have two purse. Okay, you have a small purse and then you have a big purse. Okay, if you compare both of them, okay, you compare both of them, the amount of pencils per like and pencils, erasers, sharpeners, stationery is basic. The amount of stationery you can store, are they going to be the same? The amount of stationery you can store in this purse and this purse, is it the same? No. So you can see similar in pixel as well. To store a pixel, if I'm going to give more storage, then there's more data I can store there. If I'm going to give less storage, less data I can store. So if you're going to ask me what is that data we're going to store there, the data we're going to store there is the amount of colors the image can use, right? For example, if you take what do you call these images, there is a what do you call there is a big system of how this color depth works. But if I'm going to simplify and give you the formula directly, there's a formula called 2 to the power n, okay, where or else 2 to the power bpp, okay. So if you take the amount of bits per pixel, that means to store a pixel, the amount of space taken, okay, and if you take that as a power of 2, okay, if you take as a power of 2, the value is there. This value you are going to get, the answer you're going to get, that will represent the, okay, that will represent the number of colors or number of different colors that image can choose from. Okay, so for example, let's say to store an image, okay, to store an image, we're going to say 4 bits are going to allocate. Sorry, to store a pixel. Let's say to store a pixel, I'm going to allocate 4 pixel. So if I'm going to allocate 4 pixel to store, sorry, 4 bits, my bad. If I'm going to allocate 4 bits to store 1 pixel, then I will say the color depth of this image is called 4 bits per pixel. So BPP stands for bits per pixel. Bits per pixel. So what I mean by that is to store 1 pixel, I'm going to allocate 4 bits of storage, right? And then what I'm going to do is I can figure out the number of colors from that. So let's say 2 to the power 4, that's going to be 16. So what this means is we have a pixel here, we're going to store it. This pixel which I have here, it can decide out of 16 colors, what color should I represent, okay? But can it like out of those 16 colors, can it get more than 16 colors variation? If the bits per pixel, to store a pixel, if I'm going to allocate only four bits to store 1 pixel, apart from those 16 colors, can it have more other variation? Like, can it like decide, can it have like, okay, can it has option, like, let's say we have 16 basic colors, can it have like a complex color apart from them? No, it can't. Okay, it can't. So keep in mind, based on this bits per pixel, what we decide is the number of colors a pixel can choose from. In simple terms, like the number of colors a pixel can choose from. So if we have the bit depth as 4, then it can have 16 possible variations. It can decide, okay, out of these 16 colors, which color should I choose from, right? Now, based on that, tell me, if image can represent 32 colors, if a pixel can decide, okay, out of 32 colors, I can pick a color, okay? If out of 32 colors, I can pick one color, then based on that, tell me what the color depth should be. Is this storage RAM? No, meant to store the image. When you're downloading files, you are at 5 MB, 2 MB file size. Exactly. Okay. So you can, like, if you're going to do max, you can say, okay, like 2 to the power x is equal to, let's say, 32. So you're here finding x, the amount of bits per pixel, right? So you can represent 2 to the power x as 2 to the power 5, right? So this is basically maths kind of a question. And based on that, you can say, let's say x equals 5. So the question is asking what should be the color depth. So the color depth should be, okay, the color depth should be 5 bits per pixel. Is that clear, all of you? Got the idea of how to do those questions? If you had mentioned the answer as 5, you will get answer. If you had mentioned the answer as 2 to the power 5, that's wrong. Because 2 to the power 5 is basically 32. You're directly giving the question back. So to get the answer, you have to mention the word number 5. If you had not mentioned that 5 is the correct answer, 5 is the color depth, then you don't get answer. Name of the lesson, multimedia. Grade 11, lesson 4. What is 2 then? Do you know why it's basically 2? Because in images, we are storing in bits per pixel, right? So for example, that's why behind that formula, there is a big theory. I taught in the class. If you go and check this out, you can notice, right? Because we are storing here in bits, in binary numbers, right? So for example, if the number of bits per pixel is going to be 1, this 1 bit, okay, let's say I have only 1 bit. That 1 bit can be 0 or that 1 bit can be 1. How many variations are there if I'm going to use 1 bit to represent the color? That 1 bit can be either 0 or the 1 bit can be 1. But let's say I'm going to use 2 bits to represent the color. If I'm going to use 2 bits to represent, okay, that's x and x, 2 bits, okay. Both the bits can be 0, or 1 bit can be 0, other bit can be 1. 1 bit can be 1, other bit can be 0, or 1 bit can be, both the bits can be 1. So if I'm going to use 2 bits to represent, to what you call store a pixel, that pixel can choose out of 4 different possible values. That's why we say it can choose from 4 colors. This is how that formula was actually formed, right? Yeah, picture possible, but some things might be advanced. Got it, Adil? Umair, what's up? Okay, next. So for that, you get basically what do you call for writing. If you directly know the answer 5 as well, you get the mark. You don't have to show any workings for this. But directly mention the answer as 5, you just basically get 1 mark. Next, name the 2 color models widely used in today's time period. What are the 2 popular color models we have currently? Yes, the widely used color model we have is one is a RGB color model, which is where a color is formed by using red, green, and blue. And then we have another color model called the CMYK color model. Out of both of them, tell me which color model is normally used in displays, like for example, in mobile phones, monitors, all those stuffs. Yes. Whenever your image or whenever your graphic is going to be represented, whenever your graphic is going to be represented on a digital device. What I mean by digital devices like laptops, phones, computers, all those stuffs. Okay. When your graphic is going to be represented in digital device, mostly we use RGB color model. If our graphic is going to be represented in CMYK, okay, if our graphic is going to be represented in CMYK, see, if our graphic is going to be made in CMYK, then what do you think the purpose of that is going to be? To represent in which kind of scenarios, in which medium? Exactly. The CMYK is mainly used for printing scenarios. Perfect. What's the full form of CMYK? Cyan. Cyan or cyan? It's CYAN. Cyan, magenta, yellow, and case key. So cyan is like a, what do you call the magenta is, no, one is pink, one is blue, one is yellow. So cyan is, magenta is purple. Yeah, this is bluish color. Cyan is a pinkish color. Yellow is yellow. Key is black. That color is called cyan. Like you have red, green, blue. The name of that color is called cyan. And the name of this color is called magenta. Like when you're talking about the rainbows, you'll talk like violet, magenta, like those. These are the different names of colors. K is key. K is normally black color. It's called key, but the meaning of that is black basically. Okay, so keep in mind RGB is only mainly used for digital device, and for printing scenarios, we mainly use the CMYK color model. So for mentioning RGB, you get half marks, and for CMYK, it's half marks. Why don't just keep it as pink and yellow? A day pink and yellow is different color, cyan and magenta is different color. These are two different colors, even though they look alike. For example, let's say there are twins. Okay, will you be like, sir, both of them are same now? Why can't we call them the same name? They are not the same, even though they look almost the same. They're not exactly the same. There are differentiations, right? So will you call both of them with the same name? No, right? If there are twins, you will be giving same. But you call twins are like almost similar, right? These are two different colors. Cyan is one color, magenta is one color. So this is how cyan looks like. I think I told the opposite earlier. I think I told cyan for pink. It's vice versa. The magenta is pinkish, cyan is bluish, and yellow is here. So these are the colors we have. For once, someone knows how to do differentiate colors. Yeah. Okay, fine. Stage 3 services of cloud computing. Okay, you will be learning about cloud computing in several chapters. The main chapter you will be learning about cloud computing is regarding the grade 11 lesson number 3. But again, regarding cloud computing, put you all have learned even in the first lesson of grade 11 and even in grade 10, 6th lesson, 7th lesson, you all learned a bit. Okay. But coming back to this lesson, you can, in terms of grade 11 lesson 3, where you mainly learn about it, in terms of the what you call cloud computing, in terms of cloud computing, the three services we have are infrastructure service, in short form IaaS, then platform as a service, in short form platform PaaS, which stands for platform as a service, and SaaS, which stands for software as a service. Okay, so here we have infrastructure service. Here we have platform as a service, and here we have software as a service. These are the three services. I think in the exam which I gave you all, my examiners did not give marks if you all wrote the short forms. I will update it so that you all get the marks. Okay. But better write the full form as well. Huh? Half marks for this, half marks for this, and half marks for this. Next, state a disadvantage of cloud computing. There is several disadvantage, but one of the key disadvantage of cloud computing is what? There's a key difference in cloud computing. This is the main fellow. Exactly. It requires a stable internet connection. Requires a stable internet connection. So if you don't have a stable internet connection, sometimes you will lose access of your data being stored properly, or there are certain issues that can come. So rather than then just mentioning requires internet connection, mention as a stable internet connection, because if you're a bit more precise with your answer, again it's more better. Okay, so it's a stable internet connection that you need. You'll be getting it soon, Aisha. Okay, so for mentioning that, you get half marks. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Move to the next one. High internet connection? No, you don't need high internet connection. Very little amount of data is only being used. Maximum KBs or bits of data is only being used. You don't have to have fast connection. Just have a stable connection. What's the difference in cloud computing? For that, I will need around 2 hours of time, or at least 1 hour of time. I thought that in the lesson, man. This is not the lesson teaching. Next, name following network topologies. So you can see here there are two topologies given. So topologies is way how so it's the way of how we arrange devices in a network. Okay, so you can see here all the devices are centralized to a switch to a hub, and here you can see There is no switcher hub in the second diagram, but each device are connected with each other. Now, based on that, tell me what type of topology, in what arrangement is the first computers arranged? This first set of computers. Yes, it's the star topology. Out of the topologies you all have learned, only star topology you all have learned precisely, which uses a switch or which uses a hub to centralize a network. So indirectly, if they ask you what is the type of network that uses switch or hub to centralize, keep in mind it's the star topology. Okay. And then what is the second diagram representing? Yes, second diagram is representing the ring topology. Okay, in ring topology, you can see every computer is connected with each other. It looks like a ring. So I'm connected to each person. Kila, it's there like that, right? So for mentioning star topology here, you get half marks. For mentioning ring topology, you get half marks. Is that clear? Okay. Okay, perfect. Right, I'm gonna give you all to do this question. Um, if I keep it like, if I keep it like this, you all can't see it properly. No. Okay. First of all, let's do this ninth question, then I'll give the 10th question. Okay. I'm just going to give you 2 minutes. Try doing this second question. It's an easy one. So, ninth question. Once you're done with it, raise your hands up in the participants list. If you're done this question, I'll just give 2 minutes quick. Just put the timer. Those who are done answering that question, if you know the found the answer, raise your hands up. And if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Quickly, all of you. Shakir, my plan is to give it within the week. You'll have 54 seconds remaining. By the way, those who are not there in the paper class community, because that's where I share the resources. I'll just send the link of that in the chat. Just join there. So you can obtain those recordings or materials or all those from there. Let me send the link quick. Yeah, only the Roman number 9. Okay, time up. Let's stop writing and let's check your answers. Huh? The paragraph below was created using a word processing software and was formatted as indicated by labels 1 to 4. Okay, first of all, give me an example word processing software you all know. The famous one. Yes, the most common word processing software which many people use is Microsoft Word. Okay, but Microsoft Word is a paid software. It's a commercial software. Okay, you need a license to use it. There is a free software and alternative for it. And in terms of free softwares, I want I'm going to categorize them into two categories. One is that uses cloud computing concept, and another is that doesn't use cloud computing. That uses cloud computing and that doesn't use cloud computing. First of all, tell me an example of free software that uses cloud computing. Exactly. Google Docs is an example of a cloud word processing software that uses the computing concept. Give me an example of a word processing software which is free and which does not use cloud computing. Yes, you can mention LibreOffice Writer, then OpenOffice Writer. Tell me, is Microsoft Word, can Microsoft Word taken as an example for this? No, not. Even though Microsoft Word is actually not using cloud computing, you have to keep in mind Microsoft Word is actually a commercial software, which means you have to pay in order to use it. Okay, you have to pay. 2013 is free. Who said it's free? Even though you download it for free, the crack version is illegal. You have to pay. It's a commercial software. Microsoft Word is a commercial software. You have to pay to use it. Okay, let's ask this question. So they have mentioned that they have labeled the changes from 1 to 4. Okay, always keep in mind when they say formatting, what they mean by that is like changes. They're doing some changes and they have labeled those changes from 1 to 4. Some formatting tools available in word processing softwares are shown below with labels A to N. Identify the tools used for each of the formatting tasks indicated by the labels 1 to 4. Write down number assigned to the formatting task and the relevant label of the tool. Okay. Let's say you had mentioned something like this. The tool we are going to use and then the formatting label. If you do like this, you will not be getting marks. Why? Because you're not following the instruction mentioned. Because if you read the instruction they have mentioned, write down the number assigned to the following tasks. For example, number one, number two, number three, number four, and respectively you mention the label of the tool. So for example, let's say to do the number one, let's say you are use the bold tool example. Huh? If you mention here bold, it's wrong. You don't get marks. You mention C the label. Okay, then you'll be getting the marks. So always make sure you're answering these kind of questions to read the question properly and follow the instruction given. If not, you will be losing the marks. Okay, so let's figure out the answer. So there are four formattings. So I'm going to mention number one, number two, number three, and number four. First of all, tell me what is the change you can notice in the label number one? What is the difference you can see here when you compare it with this? Yes. The change you can see there is basically the text has been aligned to the middle or aligned to the center. To center align a text, which tool have we have to use? Look at the labels and tell me which tool should be used to center align a text. Yes, that's going to be done by the tool L. Perfect. Second one. First of all, tell me what is the change you can notice in the number two? What has been done for the text called information technology? The text has been. Yes. If the text has been darker, we call them as the text has been bold. Okay. To bold the text, what is the tool we are going to use? Which label? Yes. We're going to use the tool C. Correct. And next, the third one. What is the formatting you can see there? What has been done for the text call manipulation, transmission, retrieval, all those stuffs? Yes. The text has been italicized. Okay. To italicize a text, what is the tool we are going to use? Yes, we're going to use the tool D. Correct. Fourth one, what has happened with the text? The text has been, yes, the text has been underlined. To underline a text, what is the tool we're going to use? Which label? Perfect. We're going to use a tool E. So to get the marks, if you had mentioned as 1L, 2C, 3D, 4E, you will be getting the marks. Is that clear all of you? Got the idea? Okay, so you'll be getting here half marks each. Can text be subscripted or superscripted? Yes. To do subscript, we use this text. To do superscript, we use this text, this tool. It's two different things. In the question, they are given a note name, but if they haven't given, then can we put more than one answer? No, unless something requires more than one answer, like name and then number and the letters. If you mention the name, you will not be getting the marks. You'll mention if you get exactly like this, you'll be getting marks. Again, it depends on who is marking your paper. If they think you're Pavam, they might give you marks, but 90% of the chance they don't. Okay. Before I discuss the 10th question, okay, I will just give you a time to pray as well. So the time now is 6:44, 6:45. Let's take so 5 minutes to pray, 5 minutes to this question. I'll give you around 50 minutes in total. At 7 p.m., I'm going to discuss this question. Those who are going to pray or can pray and come. Others or can try doing this question. Enjoy. Once you're done doing this question, raise your hands in the participants list. Try doing this all of you. It's a very easy programming question. You can do this in a couple of minutes, man. I'll give you a hint. Draw the dry run, you'll easily figure out the answer. Let's see who can find the answer easily. It's an easy question, actually. Yes. Okay. Do the questions, all of you. And those who are praying, you can go and pray and come quickly as well. I'll quickly pray and come. And if you have any questions, drop in the chat. I'll come and check. Okay. Can you please send me? Let me check. Muhammad, wait. Again, send check it, Muhammad. Yes, Abdul Qadir. This is related to the grade 11 lesson number 1 now. Programming. Once you're done, raise your hands up. Quickly go and pray and come. Did any of you all find the answer? What many easy questions I couldn't find. Is there anyone of you all who already gave up as well? Okay. You gave up at page Patrakat also. Okay. Quick, 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 quick. I'll reply as soon as possible. Actually, all of the messages I reply as soon as possible. Okay. Today for 3 hours I was replying WhatsApp messages. Still, I have more to reply. I'll make sure I reply all of them as soon as possible. Your school teacher couldn't do it. Yeah, what man? Sheesh. Actually, you all can give your school teacher and see how long will they take to do this question. For fun. I mean, don't go and challenge them or like don't make it too serious. Just for fun. See what's gonna happen. Okay, it's easy. It's a very, very easy question. I don't want to embarrass them. Given, I don't know. She was like, "You won't get this question like this," and she called me out of courage. Yeah, that's true. You will not get so hard questions, but you can get these types of questions. Huh? I'll accept the fact that the question is hard, but I will not accept the fact that you will not get these types of questions. What I mean by these types of questions is when this question, and I'm doing the question, I tell you. Aisha, have what is meant by algorithm? Haven't I been in grade 10? Algorithm is a grade 11 thing. It's a grade 11 first chapter. The most easiest, beautiful lesson called programming. There's a lesson in grade 11. So you come across algorithm there. Dun, 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 dun. Do you know if you all want time? Shall I start now itself? Let me know to the chat. Do you know if you all want 2 more minutes? Because for 7 p.m. there's 2 more minutes. Very hard, not very hard. I mean, that's the easiest chapter. Okay, let's start. Let's start. I'm gonna start 2 minutes ahead. Okay, let's start. Figure shows an algorithm to search a value in an array named product list. Okay, so algorithm means the step-by-step instructions to do a certain task, and then array means it's a type of variable. So if you're asking what is a variable, variable is actually something like an identifier which we use in a program to store values. Okay, so for example, in maths or something, in certain questions, you might take like x equals 5, y equals 7, and then some you might mention like this. No, so you can see the number 5 we are going to store into the name called x or letter called x. We're going to store number 7 inside this word or as letter called y, right? So here x and y are variables. Now by default, if you take variables, it can store only one values, but there is a special type of variable called arrays which can store multiple values. Okay, so that's the difference between a variable and a array. Values are numerical values only, or you can store different types of values. Okay, but if you take your syllabus, you will be learning about a programming language called Pascal. No, in Pascal, if you take an array, every value in the array should be the same type. For example, let's say there's an array called x, okay, and you want to store multiple values. So if you want to store multiple values on the same identifier, like identifier means name, under the same name, what we do is every array, the array will have an index. Like for example, without just mentioning x equals 5, we mention the array named x, index number 0, the value is equal to 5. Array name x, index number 1, the value equals 7. So like this, you can, it's like something like this. In a box, if you can store one product, there's one thing that's going to be a variable. But let's say the same box has multiple compartments, like separations. And each separation, if you can store multiple stuffs, then that's like an array. So if you take array from programming language to programming language, there are certain changes, differentiations, right? If you take Pascal, in Pascal, what happens is all these values has to be in the same data type. So if it's numbers, all of them has to be numbers. If it's letters, like all of them has to be like, so if it's like vacha, sorry, if it's like char, all of them has to be what you call single character. If it's string, then all of them has to be like letters and words collections, something like that. Okay. But if you take programming language like PHP, that issue is not there. So from language to language, it varies. But again, that's advanced. Let's leave that aside. So they are saying here, so the values are always numerical here. What about Excel? Excel. What do you Excel? Here, yes, all are going to be numerical. Okay, let's do this. So there's going to be an array called product list, it seems, and this product list is going to contain multiple values. Like for example, in product list, the array called product list, index number 0, they have said value is going to be ARK11. Index number 1, the value is going to be ASP11. Index number 2, the value is going to be bar13. That's what they have mentioned in this question. Okay, so let's go through the program. In the program, to answer this question, the most easiest and efficient way is to create a dry run. Okay, one thing, this dry run is going to be a little bit huge, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a spreadsheet to make my work easy. Okay, because if I'm going to draw that table here, it's going to be a bit hard. So I'll draw the dry run here. Okay. So how you draw the dry run is you're going to take one column each variable you have, and you're going to use one column each for each, let's say, condition you have, and you're going to have one common column for the output. That's how you draw a dry run normally. So if you look at this program, you can see product search is actually a variable. Okay, there's a variable called product search. When you say input product search, what we're meaning by that is we're asking the user to enter a value, and that value the user enters, we're going to store it into a variable called as product search. Okay, so product search is a variable. Then start position is a variable. A mid position is a variable. See, end position. These all are like what's happening there is we're going to store a value in those names, a value in those names. Those names we call as a identifier, right? And then if you take a found is a variable, mid position is a variable, but if you take mid position, I have already considered as a variable here, so I'm not going to repeat it. Okay, so I'm going to take only the unique variable names, and then here product in terms of variables, yeah, those are the only variables we have. In terms of unique variables, these are unique variables we have, which are highlighted in blue color. In terms of conditions, give me it, guys. Okay, so these are the variables we have. In terms of conditions, okay, let me highlight the conditions in pink color value. There is a condition we are going to check here. We're going to check if the product list in the mid position is less than product search. Okay, and then there's another condition here. So basically, there are two conditions in this program. Okay, and if you take in this program, have they mentioned anywhere about output in this program? does this program have an output? Look at the whole scenario and see. Can you see any statement called display, output, show, something like that? No, this program doesn't have output. Okay. So wait, before I do this question, let me read this paragraph as well, because without this paragraph, you will not know what the question is. So if you go through this question, they have mentioned here, complete the table to indicate the order in which the product codes will be examined by the algorithm when searching through the product list for the product code STR15. Write the number 1 by the first product code to be examined, 2 by the second code to be examined. Okay. I'll explain this in a very simple manner. Imagine there's a classroom. In this classroom, there's two sections for boys and girls. I mean, there's two, like, like imagine the academic video. In the middle, there's a walking pathway. And let's say there's a whiteboard here. And in this side, all the girls will sit. In this side, all the boys will sit. Right? Let's say here there are, in one row, there are 4 girls who will sit. Here also one row, 4 boys will sit. So let's say there are multiple rows here. Now I have drawn 3 rows, but let's say there are multiple rows here. Now you want to find, okay, is Amal present in the class? You want to find is Amal present in the class? Okay, and you're now standing here in the front in the stage. Let's be the stage. You're a staff here working. You're standing in the stage, and you want to go and search for Amal. Okay. So what you thought to do is you thought, okay, let's go and take row by row. Let's see, take the students in the first row, and let's start from the corner. Is the corner from corner? Let's come towards this direction. Okay, row by row. So let's ask this student: Is your name Amal? Is your name Amal? Is your name Amal? Is your name Amal? Once you're done with the first row, then go for the next row. Likewise, you're going to go and check: Is Amal present in a class? That's your task. First of all, tell me, are you clear about the plot? What this person is going to do? What this staff is going to do? What the idea? He's going to find where is Amal, or is Amal present? Simple. Let's say that. Now, let's say this is where Amal is going to stay. This is where Amal is staying. I have orange color. First of all, tell me, will the staff even go and check this section? When he's going to check, first of all, initially, will he even go and check that section? This section, will he check? Initially, will he start checking with this section? Obviously, no. Right? That bugger's name is Amal. Amal's name comes like a boy's name. So he might start checking, obviously, the boys section. Okay. So let's say he's going to go for the boys section. And I mean, the boys side, he's going to start. Now, how will he start checking? He will check this fellow first. He will check this fellow second. He will check this fellow third. He will check this fellow fourth. He will check this fellow fifth. And Amal will be found at which time? At which count? Like which student is Amal basically as per his count? Exactly. As per his count, Amal is a 6th student. Amal is a 6th student, which is basically checking. This is a 6th student. Now, if you notice this pattern, let's say how I relate this to the question is, here you're going to find STR15. Okay, array has multiple values, you're going to find STR15. And this question they're saying, while you're finding STR15, you'll be checking one people. Is your name STR15? Is your name STR15? Is your name STR15? So they're like, if you're going to ask him, first, if your name is STR15, write here 1. If you're going to ask him second, write here 2. If you're going to ask him third, write here 3. If you're going to ask him next, write here 4. And once you find STR15, you stop writing, obviously, because you found already. Something like that. That's what the question is asking you all to do. First of all, let me do you all understand what this question is asking us to do. Okay, what is STR15? STR, if you look at this, what do you call values in the array? STR15 is a value that's there in the array. Here, see here. STR15 is a value that's there in the array. Okay. Now let me show this program. Once I show how this program works, you'll understand it more better. Okay, Alex, I'll do the question now. Then it will make more sense. Okay. Now they're saying when the program is being executed, searching through the product list for the whatever. Write the number 1 by the first product code to be examined, 2 by the second code to be examined. Okay, I have given a hint there. I'll tell you what that hint is later. Now, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to create the dry run for this. Okay, I told you dry run will have each column for each variables, each condition and output. So let's say one column for product search. One column for start position. One column for mid position. One column for end position. One column for found. Okay, these are the variables I have in my program. Apart from that, I say we have conditions as well. So I'm going to write this condition first. Then we have another condition here. Isn't found an output. Output are things that you display. Are we display? We are showing for the user. Are we giving that value called found to the user? Then how can you consider as output? Okay. Now let's start doing the program. Figure shows an algorithm. Let's start. First of all, they're saying input product search. Now, when you read this paragraph, they're telling you which product are we searching for. Tell me what is the product we're searching for here? What is the product code we're searching for? Read this paragraph and tell me what is the product code we're searching for. Yes, we are searching for the product code STR15. If you read that paragraph, you can see we are searching for the product code called STR15. So when you say input product code, I'm going to enter the product code for the system. So the value I'm going to enter here is called STR15. Okay, so under this product code, product search, I mentioned it STR15. The value that variable is going to. Next, start position is equal to 1. So under start position, I'm going to say the value is 1. Mid position is 0. Under mid position, I'm going to say the value is 0. End position is equal length of product list. When you take array, okay, the word length means the number of elements or the number of values that array has. Now you can see the question said we have an array called product list. Product list is an array. Okay. If you take this product list array, how many different values does this product list array have? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many values this product list has? It has 8 different values. So what is the length of this array going to be in that case? The length of the array is going to be exactly. The length of this array is also going to be 8. Okay. Always keep in mind the word length always signify the number of elements in that array. So in this array called product list, the number of elements we have is 8. So I'm going to say the value of n person is going to be equal to 8. Up to, and then we have found equals false. So found I'm going to mention false. Up to here, tell me, you don't understand how I fill this table. Yes or no? Up to here, clear how I fill this table? Okay, perfect. Now comes the question. Here you can see there is a repeat until loop. Okay. What happens in a repeat until loop is basically, okay, what happened in a repeat until loop is basically, whatever instructions you have inside here are going to repeat or going to be executed again and again and again until this condition is met, or until this condition is true. You're going to repeat those statements, right? So let's start repeating them one by one. The first statement mentioned here is mid position is equal to start position plus end position divided by 2. Why false is mentioned? They have mentioned, I mentioned directly. You can ignore it. There's a reason for that. I'll tell that later. This is a part of the program. If you notice, it's just a part of the program. Okay, you know the full program. This program is a very hard program. I'll tell you the purpose of this program later. This is just a part of the program, which is more than enough for you all. Anyways, look at this. So we are saying a mid position is equal to start position plus end position divided by 2. First of all, let's replace these variables with their actual values. Look at the table and tell me what is the latest value of start position variable. Always you have to check the latest value. You don't check row by row. Dry run is just values. Because if you're going to keep all these numbers in your head can't store values, so much values parallelly. That's why we are drawing a dry run basically. Yes, the latest value of start position is 1. So I'm going to mention it 1. Look at the table and tell me what is the latest position of end position, latest value of end position. What is the latest value of end position? It is 8. So I'm going to mention 8. Now let's do the calculation. They're asking us to calculate what is the value of 1 plus 8 div 2. 1 plus 8 is equal to 9. 9 div 2. Now when you're learning what do you call these operators, there is an arithmetic operator called mod and div, which means when you say 9 divided by 2, we're asking divide 9 by 2 and don't go for decimal numbers. Keep the answer whole numbers. So 2 times 4 is 8. 1 remains. So when you do long division like this without decimal numbers, when you do the long division, the value you get in the top piece there, right? This we call as a dividend, sorry, div, the quotient. The quotient we call as a div. Okay, the quotient we call as a div. And the remainder we call as mod. So if you get the question asking what is 9 div 2, 9 div 2 is equal to 4 and 9 mod 2 is equal to 1. Okay, 9 div 2 is 4, 9 mod 2 is 1. So in this question, they're asking about 9 div 2, no? Say 8 plus 1 is 9 and 9 div 2. So based on that, tell me what will be the value this mid position variable is holding. Yes, mid position variable, it's going to hold the value of 4, right? 9 div 2 is going to give you 4. See, 9 div 2 is giving you 4, no? So I'm going to say on the mid position, the value is going to be 4. On the mid position, the latest value of mid position is going to be 4. I wrote it here. Okay, I wrote the latest value here. Now I go for the next instruction. Next instruction, they are saying if product list brackets mid position is less than product search. Now, for example, if you notice this properly, product list is the name of the array we're going to check. Normally, I said array, we store values in different index. Okay. So for example, we are saying x index 0, a value equals 5, let's say. X index 1, value equals 7, let's say. So we store in multiple index. Okay, we store in multiple index. No, Zena, we'll ignore that. Okay. So we store them in different index. So when I say product list, index mid position. Okay. What I mean by that is index. Currently, what is the value of mid position? Look at the table and tell me. Mid position is 4. Exactly. The value of mid position is 4. So what we mean by this is in the product list, we are going to check the value in index number 4 is at less than product search. Is that less than product search? First of all, tell me in this array called product list, what is the value we have in index number 4? In index number 4, this is the index number 4. What is the value we have in index number 4? It's min 19. The question is asking you, write 1 by the first product you're going to examine, 2 by the second you're going to examine. The first value we're going to examine in this array is min 19. So front of min 19, write 1. Got it? This is how you fill the table. This is the first value you're going to examine in this table. That's the first value we examine the table, right? Before we came and check min 19, did we even check any other values in this array? Before we check min 19, okay? Did I come and check any values in this array? No. See, for me to do this question, for me to answer this question, okay, for me to answer this question, is product list 4 less than product search? Okay, I had to figure out, is this condition going to give me true or false, right? So for me to figure out, is this condition going to give me true or false? What I do is I am going first of all to product list array, index number 4. So in the product list array, this is the product list array. Whatever then table is product list array. In product list array, index number 4, the value I have is mil 19. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check basically is mil 19 less than product search. What is the value of product search? Look at a table and tell me what is the value of product search. Yes, product search has a value of str15. So I'm going to check is mil 19 less than str15. Is that clear of you? So the first value I was examining out of my array is a mil 19. That's the first value I went and saw in my array. Examined in my array. So in front of that you put number 1. Is that clear of you? Got the idea up there? Perfect. Now comes the question. You all have compared numbers. You all have compared is 7 less than 5 or is 5 less than 7. These numbers you all know to compare. Now comes the question, how do you compare letters? Okay. When you are comparing letters, we use the concept of ASCII. We use the concept of ASCII. Now, because here, if you notice, we are comparing here is mil 19 less than str15. Now, we are comparing here is mil 19 less than str15. Okay. When we learned about ASCII, grade 10, lesson number 3, you learn that every letter has a value given for it. For example, capital A is given the value how much in ASCII? 65. And capital B is given the value what? 66. So when you are going to compare is A greater than B, indirectly what you mean by this is 65 greater than 66. That's how programs actually work. That's how programs actually work. So when you're going to compare is mil 9 less than str15, you compare the first two letters, M and S. Okay. When you compare M and S, just ask yourself, is M coming before S? Is M less than S means is M before S? No. Okay. Take your alphabets and check, is M before S? Yes or no? Here no. Is M before S? Yes or no? Yes, right? MNOPQRS. So after M you get S. MNOPQRS. So M is first. So when it says M less than S, is M before S? Yes, it is true. So when you say is mil 19 less than str15, this is going to give you actually the result is going to be true. This condition is going to result in true. So I'm going to write here as true. Got it all of you? Wrote that true. So if that condition is true, tell me, should I execute this first instruction or should I execute this second instruction or should I do both? In that if condition, if the condition is true, you can't do that, Amar. Azam. Exactly. I had to go for the first statement. And the reason is because we had a if statement in how they in algorithm, if you take if then else statement, okay. If this condition, you can say a condition, if this condition is true, you execute the instructions you have between then and else, whatever is in between them. So this flow is being executed if the condition is true. Whatever is there between else and end if, whatever is there between else and end if, you execute them if the condition is false. In our case, we found out the condition is actually true. No? So because the condition is true, we are going to execute the statement called start position is equal to mid position plus 1. Is that clear of you? Don't we need to consider 19 and 15? In mil 19 and no. That's why I told you first of all about letters. When you are comparing two values, you always take the first letter and compare. Like for example, in ASCII, is capital A and simple letter the same? Does capital A and simple A have the same value? No. I can't remember the exact value of simple A, but I'm tell me comparatively, I know who is greater, but comparatively, if you take simple A and capital A is some 90 something. I can't remember exactly which part. So if you take the ASCII value of both of them, if you're going to compare is capital A greater than simple A, you'll be getting this as false because simple A's ASCII value is some 90 something and capital A is 65. So when you compare is A greater than A, this will give you false. Simple A is 97. Ah, okay. So if you compare 65 and 97, it's going to give you false. Okay. So that's why I did not go up to that extent. I just gave a slight idea here. Okay. So if you here compare letters, you're comparing the whole word. Okay. Because here product list is having the value of MIL19. Product search is having the value of STR15. We are comparing the values. Huh? MIL19 is one value, STR15 is another value. When you compare M and S, M is actually coming first. Okay. So because it is true, I'm going to execute this yellow color highlighted statement. That is, we're saying the value of start position is going to be equal to mid position plus 1. So based on that, there's a start position is going to be equal to mid position plus 1. Look at this table and tell me what will be the value of mid position plus 1. Mid position plus 1. Yes. You can see mid position is actually 4. So mid position plus 1 is 4 plus 1, which is 5. So we are going to say the new value of start position is going to be equal to 5. Is that clear of you? Got it? Right. Now I go for the next instruction. So because the condition is true, I'm going to ignore all these words and go directly for the next instruction, which is this. So in this instruction, I'm going to check a condition. Is product list mid position? Okay, product list mid position. Currently, product list is basically the array called product list. Mid position still it's say what is the product mid list? Currently, mid position is number 4. Currently, mid position is number 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and check in the product list index number 4, same thing, MIL19. Okay, I'm basically checking is MIL19 equal to product search. Product search is STR15. Now, first of all, tell me, are these two people equal? Yes or no? Are these two values equal? No. So this part of the condition is going to give me false. This part of the condition is going to give me false. Next, let's see this part of the condition. Or ignore this equal symbol. This equal symbol is a mistake here. Or start position is equal to end position. Look at our table and tell me, is the value of start position and the value of end position, are they equal? Always check the latest value. Latest value of start position and latest value of end position. Are they equal? No. So that's also going to give me false. That's also going to give me false. So when you're going to check, is this statement true or false? The overall condition. Okay, you can see that in this condition, which I've given at last, there is two sub conditions, right? The first sub condition gave us false. The next sub condition also gave us false. So now you have to use the OR gates logic and tell me if it's false or false, what will be the overall result? Why Avasara wait, we are not done with the question. No, Puruma. Overall condition will be false. Exactly. So under the last column, I'm going to mention, because that's why I mentioned that condition. No, I'm going to mention a false. I'm going to mention a false. Right. Now use your knowledge of repeat until loop and tell me the condition you have along with false. Okay. If this condition is going to give you, sorry, the condition you have along with until. Okay. In a repeat until loop, the condition you have along with until. If that condition gives you false, do you continue the loop or do you stop the loop? Continue or stop? Exactly. You're going to continue. So I'm going to again go for the instruction inside the repeat and the loop. The instruction we have is it is mid position equal to, so let me erase all these stuffs now. It mid position equal to, no Ilman, don't you know how OR gate works? Okay, so I'm going to again repeat the instruction. Here I have is the mid position is equal to Start position plus end position divided by 2. Let's again go to the table and see what are the values. Start position, you can see the value is 5. So I'm going to write here 5. End position, you can see the value is, give me it guys. There was a noise pollution, I just sent all the elements up. Okay, end position is basically 8. So 5 plus 8 divided by 2. Okay, so 5 plus 8 is going to give you 13. So the question is asking what is the value of 13 div 2. So to divide 13 by 2, 2 times 6 is 12, 1 remains, right? So what is the value of 13 div 2? Yes, 13 div 2 is actually 6. So now we are going to say the new value of mid position. See, mid position is equal to that, no? The new value of mid position is going to be equal to 6. Okay, new value of mid position is equal to 6. Next instruction. If product list mid position is less than product search, okay, so that means you're going to go for the array called product list, index called mid position. Currently, you can see the value of mid position is 6. So we're going to go for the index number 6. What is the value we have in index number 6? str15. So what is the value we are going to evaluate in our array? What is the second value we are going to evaluate in our array? str15. See, order of examine. First of all, we examine mid19. Now we examine str15. Okay, now we are examining str15. So front of str15, you put number 2. Is that clear, all of you? Got it? No, we're not done with the questions. Wait, why even you'll have avasara? Until you come for this end, the program continues. Wait. Next. So now we know what we're going to check if product list mid position, which means in product list, index number 6. Index number 6 is str15. We're going to check now is str15. We're going to check is str15. Give me the is str15 less than product. Is str15 less than product search. So product search is still str15, no? So indirectly we're going to check is str15 less than str15. Okay. Now S and S, they both have the same value. In terms of ASCII, in terms of ASCII, both of them have the same value. Okay. So when you compare that, is str15 less than str15, right? What do you think? Imagine you have 5 less than 5. Are you going to get true or false? The hard part is people cannot stop asking stupid questions from me. I'll explain all why are we doing this, right? All of you are asking, so why do you get so hard questions? Do you get so hard questions always? I told you at the beginning as well. Wait, man, wait. I'll explain how you get questions like this regarding all of this. And before I start this question, I told you, you don't get the exact question, but you can get these types of question. I'll tell you the meaning of types of question a while, right? Exactly, that's going to become false, right? So this condition is false. If that condition is false, okay, tell me, should I execute this yellow color statement or should I execute this red color statement? Exactly, because that condition is going to give you false. I'm going to execute this red color statement. Okay, so red color statement we have here, end position is equal to red color. Okay, is end position going to be equal to mid position minus 1. So mid position is basically, you can see 6. So what is the value of mid position minus 1? What is the value of mid position minus 1? Yes, mid position minus 1 is 5. Okay, so I'm going to say the value of end position is going to be equal to 5. Is that clear up to all of you? Understood how this became 5? Okay, that's fine. Now I go for the next instruction. What is the next instruction? Is product list mid position, which means currently mid position is how much? Mid position is 6 now. Product list index number 6, str15. We are going to check is str15 equal to product search. Now product search is what? str15. Now when I want to check are they equal, tell me will this condition give me true or false? Yes, this condition is going to give me true. Next instruction, or start position is equal to end position. When I check the value of start position and end position, are they equal? Are they equal? Yes, that's also going to give me true. So based on that, I have something like this now. The first instruction, the first condition is also true, or second condition is also true. Using OR gates logic, tell me if both these conditions are true, what will be the overall result of that condition? Yes, the overall result of that condition is true. So that means this whole pink color which I highlighted is going to give me true. Now, if the overall result is going to give me true, okay, overall result is going to give me true. Use your knowledge about here. When we check is ST, that's going to be false. Yeah. Use your knowledge about repeat and loop and tell me if this overall, the pink color which I highlighted, the overall result is going to give me true. What will happen for the repeat until loop? Will it continue or will it stop? The loop will stop. Exactly. Repeat until loop will stop. So after the loop stops, the next instruction we have here is end. Now, if you notice the program, when we were going through the array, okay, did we go and check all the values in the array to find str15? Did I go and check ARK, ASP, blah, blah, blah? Did I check all these values? No. The first value I checked was mil19, that's here, is mil19 less than str15. The second value I checked was is str15 less than str15. So that's why you write an answer from this side 1, from this side 2, and your answer is correct. Now, first of all, tell me, did you now understand how you find the answer for this question? Yes or no? But so all your questions, they won't be giving complex. How do you know they will not give complex like this? Shall I make the oral question come for your paper like this? Shall I make it come? How much bet? You can't tell that oral will not come. Okay, you can't exact tell. That's why I tell you how will this question come for the orals. Wait, I'm not still done. First of all, tell me, did you all understand this question? It's right. Is it a Western paper? Nope. I tell you a fun fact. This is a question taken from a grade 9 paper. It's a grade 9 question. And my grade 9 student got correct for this. Not it's different this one, but again it's a grade 9 question which I took. Not local, okay, not local, but it's a grade 9 question. I did some modification, you know the exact question, but I did some modification. Now let me tell you how will these questions come for your exams. In your exam, they can give the same question, the same ideology of the question, but there'll be one different. You know what is different? The difference in this program. Because the question was not hard. Only thing was this whole program was huge. Because the program was huge, you all required a bit of time. And basically, if you were able to answer this question properly, that shows how your brain is functioning. Because if you're doing this question step by step, the main purpose of algorithm is what? To show how the program runs step by step. If you are able to process this step by step, that shows how good your brains are. Even if you get 100 marks for a paper, if you can't do this question, that shows how dumb your brain is. Okay? Because the main part of showing that you're very knowledgeable or your brain is working properly is the ability for you to process stuffs. Not only IT, any subject you take. So here the question is not, even though the question is what you call looked hard, it's just because the program is a bit too long. But keep in mind, you can get the same idea of question. Actually, there are past papers question like as well. I can show you later. There are question like as well. They'll ask you which values were checked first, Kila, or what are the values that was checked in this program. They'll ask like that. But the thing is, they will not make the program very complex like this. Structure might be same. For example, they might not give you a table even. They might give you a range of values, and they'll be like these values were stored in this array. Out of these values, what are the values that was examined? So without drawing the dry run, without going through step by step, you can't figure out the answer. Is that clear? Did anyone do this question correctly? Yes. There were people who did this question correctly. In the semester, yes. I think Salma Safwan did and Amar Ghani did, as I can remember. I don't know who else did. I didn't check all the papers. Nothing exact, Adam. Show the Excel sheet. This is the dry run. And some of you are saying very long dry run. Government only two rows are there in this very dry run. You can do this question in 2 minutes. I did this question first time in 2 minutes for your information. For those who are saying you can't do this question in 2 minutes, you can do this question in 2 minutes. When I did this question for the first time, I did in 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Okay. I gave a hint for the question as well. I told you that there will be only one and two, right? One in front of the product code one and two by the second code examined. I gave a hint here that only two things are going to be examined as well. Okay. Some of you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fill the whole table. Anyways, that's the only question we're going to do for today. We're going to stop from there because we are passing 7:30. But anyways, if you have any questions, you can stay and ask. Okay. Others you can leave. Inshallah, arrange. Can I know what's the ongoing lesson for your theory class? Grade 11, we started the sixth lesson last class. Is dry run concept there in the book? Is dry run concept there in your textbook? I don't think so. No. I think no. As I know, no. In local syllabus, I don't think it's there. No. Can you go to page 6? This is page 6. In A levels, you will learn about dry run. No. You learn in dry run. We're not doing questions, man. I don't know who taught me even. What's the now the purpose is to identify which product is examined first. Yes, and which product is examined second. So the purpose of this question is to examine which product is here. If you read the question, they're saying complete the table to indicate the order in which the product codes will be examined by the algorithm. So they're asking you the order to write, and here write number 1 by the first product code you're going to check, and 2 by the second code you're going to check. So first code we check was MIL90, so I wrote 1 here. Second code we check was STR15, so I wrote 2 here. Is that clear, Mario? After you put 2 in STR15, the question is over, right? No. The question is over once I reach end. Imagine if I had, if no, in this question, there was only 2 things we examined. But imagine we examined third one. So you have to go until the end statement. What's the difference between array and a variable? A variable is like a house. If you take a normal house, if you take a land, for example, let's say the road, there's 2 lands. One land has only a house, another land has an apartment. If you go for that first land, only one house is there, only one family will be living. But if you go for the next land, it's not one house, no. The next land will have several houses, right? So the first house is like a variable. Only one family is there, like one house is there. But if you go for the apartment, you don't find one house, you find several houses. That's how variable is. And every in apartment, even though there are several houses, all of them going to have the same address? No, right? It might be like 1 upon 1, 1 upon 2, 2 upon 1. That's how this index works. Index is going to tell exactly in this land where is their house located. Is dry run there in your tube? Yes, obviously. All the questions we wrote dry run. In one question, I don't think we skipped the dry run. Is studying programming worth for the exam other than other exam lessons? Obviously, man. Programming is the only lesson you have so much marks. Around 18 to 20 marks averagely comes from programming. When are they planned to keep our O levels? Probably February or else April. I didn't understand the ASCII part you said here. You can ignore it. That's just advanced stuffs. That this is actually correlated to many lessons. I have put here a programming question. I have a bit of logic gates involved. I have had here a bit of ASCII involved. So if your brain can think, if your brain has a power to think, then only you'll be able to find this answer. That's why I said it's an easy question. It's just that you have to make sure you give some energy for your brain to function. Anyways, anyone having any other questions before I end the meeting? What are values in Excel? Is it like only numerical values or text? Excel, there are 3 types of data. One is called values. One is called labels. And one is called formulas. Values contain numbers only. Labels can contain any character. And formula starts with the equal symbol. And it's an equation. Equation means used to find the answer. Or it these are three types of data a cell can have in a spreadsheet. Got it, Navya? Then you say that count a function can count values only. No, values can't include text, man. So for example, if I have a five, it's one fellow got 50 marks, one fellow got 85 marks, one fellow was absent for the exam, one fellow got 0 marks, and I have missed one by mistake. If I use a count function, it will count only these numbers. So if I put a equals count, this cell range, see, it will give me three. The reason is because this is a number, this is a number, and this is a number. Only these three are numbers. But if I put count A, it will count all. For example, I'll show you count A. So count A, if I mention this cell range, it gave me 4. Why? It took this. Apart from this, it will consider letters as well because it will count all, any character. So count A counts the number of cells containing values, sorry, the number of cells containing labels, and count checks the number of cells containing values. Clear? Okay, perfect. Anyone having any other questions? Yes, sir. Answer is values in that, Nabia. Can't give marks for numbers because I'm talking about what type of data is right aligned. Number is not a type aligned. No, number is not a type of data. Purpose I include that to just teach all that part. Keep in mind the word number is not a what do you call type of data, even though it's like we use it in other sections. When you take spreadsheet types of when you talk about types of data, very different to these three. That's why I gave marks for that. Behind every question I use, I always do it to teach or something. So that's the purpose of that question, obviously. Anything else? Nope. Okay. So as there's no other questions, I'm going to end the meeting. Again, if there's any questions or clarifications,